Like I said, we're going to pick this up on the third possession. Seattle was up 10-3 at this point, and the Rams are in 13 personnel on a 1st and 10. So first, Emmanworii'S generally going to be spot shadowed in yellow here for you guys. He's lined up at outside linebacker. So what they've done from a nickel standpoint, nickel personnel group, you're talking about your 4 down linemen, 2 outside linebackers, 2 D tackles, 2 inside linebackers, your 2 high safety structure with 2 corners and 2 safeties. He's the star. He's the anomalous 5th defensive back, if you will, so they can move him around. And in this case, they've created a 3-4 look by deploying him as basically an edge defender out of their nickel base. This is very reminiscent of some answers that Seattle had in the second game in terms of how they tried to stop the run game once the Rams got going. So it's not really a creative play, and I think that some of the stuff McVay and those guys were doing was almost a little bit predictable. That's why it frustrated me to no end that Seattle didn't have a better job of stopping it. But, you're going to get Nacua on this kind of insert block, and he's going to go up and get the safety, number one. But part of that is the step-out block or base block, if you will, from the tight end on Nick Emmanworii'S, and he's going to be the guy that makes the tackle. I think Lawrence and Ernest Jones, the fourth, kind of execute a gap exchange, and that leads to or helps Emmanworii'S kind of stay on the outside edge. I would like him to not start to peek to the inside here, but with all of the places he spends time, at drill periods, you'd have to imagine there's going to be a loss of efficiency at times. But here he makes the tackle because you've got this really nice gap exchange by DeMarcus Lawrence, who ends up kind of, stepping down to the inside against his tight end, and then Ernest Jones, who's going to fold over the top with Nacua going up to get the safety. Seems like a missed opportunity for them, the Rams, to maybe go block the front side inside linebacker, which is what you generally do. Teams, for whatever reason, just do a really poor job of defending these compressed run formations where there's really no outside run threat at all. And in the case of this one, Emmanworii'S, Lawrence as well, who played a whole lot better than the stats maybe show, and Ernest Jones the fourth kind of combined to at least get a stop and hold the running back to no gain. Same play from the end zone angle. Like I said, it's a 1st and 10. You can see the compressed nature of this. Nacua is off screen to our right. We obviously can't see him. Neither can we see Nick Emmanworii'S. But the blocking scheme, we're basically talking about duo. So double team here on the defensive tackle, double team here on the defensive tackle, running back, downhill. And oftentimes, he's going to pick his lane. Sometimes stutter step, bring it back to the backside. Sometimes you may hit it downhill if everything parts like the Red Sea. And in this case, in this game, oftentimes he was veering behind, you guessed it, the block from Puka Nacua. I think there was a lot of predictability here. In my opinion, there's less reads happening here than a lot of people would give the running back credit for. And I think a lot of it has to do with where they're deploying Puka Nacua. But in any case, you can see the gap exchange a little bit from Lawrence, who lines up here, kind of inside shade off the first tight end, and then Ernest Jones the fourth, and how that relates to Nick Emmanworii'S, who holds his outside position here with his eyes to the inside. Once the running back bounces it, because Ernest Jones the fourth has shown up and Lawrence has shed the blocker, then Emmanworii'S able to peel off. I like for Woolen to maybe hold his outside position a little bit better, but for all of the things that this guy's asked to do, NFC Championship game, rival Rams, all of the hype and all of the hoopla that surrounds Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, and those guys, they put him everywhere. And in a sequence of 3 plays on this third possession, he shows you as much versatility as anyone in the league, along with Kyle Hamilton. The first part, actually the first probably 80% of this video is going to focus on Nick Emmanworii'S to the exclusion of pretty much everyone else. But the last 3 or 4 plays is going to focus on Reek Woolen and Devin Witherspoon and Josh Jobe. So this is the very next snap after he lined up at outside linebacker. And this is Kyle Hamilton type stuff. It's really absurd. Those 2 guys I would liken or compare to like 6'7", 6'8", NFL small forwards who can guard your point guard and harass him the length of the floor, or they can deal with someone who tries to post up. So in this case, he's actually guarding Devontae Adams. 1 snap after play an outside linebacker. You do see this dynamic where the Rams are using Nacua to kind of occupy defenders, 1 or maybe 2. In this case, I kind of color-coded it. This safety is going to kind of step down and help out with the route by Nacua, which is the inside route, the number 3 route. And this is what Emmanworii'S ends up defending. He's physical at the beginning of the route. He's combative. He's basically not allowing Adams any easy access to where he wants to go, trying to mess up the timing with the stab, and then a slight hold from outside leverage standpoint. You can see what's happening with Nacua, inside linebacker dealing with him at first. Bryant also running to assist there. And Stafford goes to Adams. Let me rewind that back again. Sorry about that. Stafford goes to Adams over the middle. Really timely ability to challenge these catches from Emmanworii'S in this game from multiple locations. Sometimes it was in front or inside position. Here it was kind of behind Adams. The physical nature of the way that he approached that route, no fear, right? He was going to make Adams earn it, and he's also very calm once the ball is in the air. This is the same play from the end zone angle. Like the ball's on the right hash. Again, Nacua is to the left as the number 3 receiver. That's the inside guy. And then Adams is just outside of him as the number 2. Here's Nacua's route. It's going to go underneath. It's going to occupy Jones and Bryant, the safeties. Stafford has a long time to throw this football. Maybe my timing is a little bit off, but I've got it at just over 3 seconds to be able to get the football. If that's a problem, obviously. For whatever reason, the Rams seem to be really excellent in pass protection against this Seattle team. Very different from so many others around the league. But here's the challenge from Emmanworii'S on Davante Adams. Kind of just really bullied him a little bit during the beginning of the route, or tried to bully him, I guess I should say. And Adams is unable to come down with the football. Really great sequence of plays back-to-back. Outside linebacker, edge, made the tackle on the duo run concept that I think Kyron Williams bounced. And then the very next play guards a Hall of Fame receiver over the middle. Remarkable versatility. Remarkable that they would ask him to do this in the first place. And, of course, Matt Stafford is complaining, asking for a penalty. This is this 3rd consecutive play on the 3rd possession. Emmanworii'S not really involved in this one, to be honest with you, from an outcome standpoint or production. It's a 3rd and 10, like I said. It's going to be a sack by DeMarcus Lawrence off the right side. He's in a stunt with Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is going to get upfield against the left guard, left tackle combo, so he's basically going through the B-gap. And then Lawrence is going to fold underneath and get the lone sack of the game for the Seahawks. So what we want to focus on is the 3rd consecutive play from an Emmanworii'S standpoint. Outside linebacker, edge defender on the first down, guarding Davante Adams on the second down in the slot. And then here he's at dime linebacker. And what that means is they've taken Drake Thomas off the field. Drake Thomas is normally the will linebacker that's set into the boundary. And in their base 4-2-5 nickel structure, Nick Emmanworii'S is normally the nickel. Now they've subbed off so they can get Woolen, Job, Witherspoon, and Emmanworii'S on the field at the same time. If the Seahawks can get you in these, obvious passing situations, they're in great shape to be able to stop anyone, including, the Rams, although they didn't do it in this game. But really patient job, I think, by second-level defenders. So Jones here and Witherspoon kind of leveraging these 2 routes by the number 3 and number 2 receivers. Number 2 is Nacua there. And so taking that away from Matt Stafford, he's not willing for whatever reason to try to go back up top here to Davante Adams. I wonder if, maybe watching the film, it's not like Adams is open there, to be honest with you, but you've got other reps in this game where Adams has got a little bit more space. And in fact, I'll show you one later on. It makes me wonder if maybe McVay, Stafford, and those guys have looked at the film at this point and said, hey, maybe we had some opportunities to go at Davante and see if Josh Jobe was able to make a play on the ball. We're focusing on Emmanworii'S, 3 consecutive snaps, 3 different locations on the football field. And the crazy thing is those 3 illustrations, that's not all he can do. It's just the fact that he can do it all. A nickel DB, you're going to see a rep a little bit later on where he's playing basically a 4-3 Sam linebacker, dime linebacker, edge defender in their 3-4, 5-2 look. Just, a spectacular talent that the Seahawks are really fortunate to have. So at this point, this is another opportunity to talk about how much he impacted the game. It's a big moment. Rams have taken a 13-10 lead on that 4th possession, and then their defense got to stop. And so opportunity late in the second quarter, I think it's the 28th or maybe 29th minute of the first half. It's a 2nd and 5 after a 5-yard run by Blake Corum. He's set up as the nickel DB to the field. Technically, him and Witherspoon are both on the field, so my apologies for that. They're actually in their dime look, but this is a great play. And Emmanworii'S at the center of this one in the very next snap. It's man-free, so it's a cover one situation for the Seahawks. Everyone's playing man from the bottom of the screen to the top, talking about Job on Adams, Witherspoon on, I think it's Mumfield, Nick Emmanworii'S on Nacua, and then Woolen up top on the tight end. Why I think this is important is out of your dime look, you don't need to necessarily move guys across and give away the fact that it's man-free. You're forcing the quarterback to kind of process some of that post-snap because of the coverage talent that you have on the field in from top to bottom, Woolen, Emmanworii'S, Witherspoon, and Job. Out route by Puka Nacua, and it's a perfect break and another great challenge. And what I love about so many of these challenges in this game from Emmanworii'S is some of them are underneath or behind, as in the case of the Davante Adams play that I showed you already, and two of them are in front. So in front of his body here, he was a rock in this moment, if you ask me. This is great timing. It cannot be overstated, in my opinion, how big these two plays are here by Emmanworii'S. The first of which here is the PD on Puka Nacua. End zone angle of the same play, like I said, it's a 2nd and 5. Seattle was in their dime look, so the only inside linebacker on the field is Ernest Jones IV. It's about 120, maybe 119 left in the second quarter as the ball is snapped. Quick decision, possibly Stafford recognized it super quick that it was man, and he's going to go out into the flats to, what he considers to be and what is his best guy. Emmanworii'S was up to the task. The same guy that covered Davante Adams earlier and got a pass defense also covered Puka Nacua here out in the flats and was extremely physical with him during the process. Challenging the catch, also tackling Nacua. Very awkward landing for those guys. He had a spectacular sequence in this first half. The plays that I already showed you, and then these two here. Very next snap, 3rd and 5. Once again, I said the Rams were up 13-10, have an opportunity to maybe go down and expand on that lead. I think at the snap, there's like 1:13 left in the half. So here is Emmanworii'S up at the top side. Once again, it's dime, so you've got Emmanworii'S, Jones, Witherspoon, Woolen, Job, and then your two safeties on the field all at the same time. Running back going to kind of make it look like he's ready to help out with pass pro. I think Adams probably wins up here to the top. I believe this is one of the reps where I identified that would be an opportunity for Stafford to maybe get the football up there. He just didn't seem interested in challenging Job as much, between the 30s. And in fact, in the final drive, or the next to last drive, I should say, the failed 4th down pass in the end zone that Witherspoon defended, Adams nor Nacua gets a target in that situation. So Emmanworii'S matching up with the running back. Down here to the bottom side, you've got 4/3. What I mean when I say 4/3 is Jones, Witherspoon, Woolen, and the safety Bryant are your 4 defenders over top of 3 potential receivers for the Rams. It's basically a cover 2 look down here to the bottom side with man to the top. Job being on Adams, Emmanworii'S being on the running back. So you got a combo coverage. It's one of the things that makes Seattle's defense, I don't want to say tough to figure out, but, Matt Stafford and Sean McVay face him twice a year, or in this case, the 3rd time. For Drake May and the Patriots, how often do they see him? Granted, they do have 2 weeks to prepare for it. These combo coverages, Stafford moves off this one quick because he probably reads a cover 2. I'm not sure that he has any awareness of what the safety here is doing, because if he did, my suspicion is he would come back up here to the top, sight unseen, and throw that football, take the one-on-one down the field. Those combo coverages with cover 2 to one side and the backside being something different. I guess what I'm referring to here is the technique of this safety playing what I would refer to as a cover 2 versus this safety is looking to the trip side, looking for work from someone else, completely oblivious, right, to what's happening down here. And that could change on the very next snap. The Seahawks could play cover 2 to one side and cover 2 to the other. So they're just very multiple and very versatile, force you to make so many decisions post-snap. This was a great stop. By the way, that's a 3rd and 5. I think I said it earlier on. The Rams had to settle for the field goal at 10-6, Emmanworii'S heavily involved in those 3 consecutive plays that I show you. These 2, PD on Nacua and then PD on the running back Rivers, just gives you an indication of how much impact he had, how great he was playing, even while the defense at times was struggling. His versatility, I think, on this play almost kind of makes it, this is the same play from the end zone angle, almost makes it look like there's 12 guys on the field. So what I mean is he's stepping up as a potential blitzer. And Seattle is in kind of like these 2 B-gap rusher alignments. We're talking about Lawrence and Williams. And then on the outside, you've also got Hall and Nwosu. Emmanworii'S steps up to possibly change the protection call, or at least give the guards and the center something to deal with, right? My suspicion is all they're trying to do is get the center to possibly have to step to that side, create one-on-ones for Leonard Williams and Derek Hall from the field. But in any case, it's a really nice cover to our left-hand side of the field, our left-hand side of the screen, but the right for the Seahawks. Ernest Jones going to be inside-out leverage on Nacua. And remember, the safety, Bryant, was over the top. I talked about that from the all-22 angle. Running back's going to briefly step downhill like he might have to deal with Emmanworii'S on the blitz. Emmanworii'S peels out of there. Stafford comes back, and it looks like for a moment Stafford is thinking about going up top to Adams against Job. For whatever reason, doesn't take it, and then brings it back down here. You get another PD or challenge on the play by Emmanworii'S, playing spectacular football all over the field, but specifically in coverage. They needed this one, right? They needed this type of performance, these type of plays from someone like him. Once Stafford got away from Nacua, away from Adams, from a read standpoint, shut down the other guys, don't let them have an impact, at least in the pass game.